Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of Last Epoch, part of my class breakdown series. And what class do I have for you today? The Sentinel. Now if you are new to Last Epoch and you are just not sure what class you want to play, this video series will hopefully steer you in the right direction. Now, if you are a fan of melee combat, if you like being up close and personal, the Sentinel might be for you. And it has 3 mastery options. You have the Void Knight, kind of think of a dark melee fighter, uses the void to strengthen and erase enemies. You have a Forge Guard, which is a very different melee class that uses minions. You have Forged Weapon, you have Ring of Shields, you have Manifest Armor, very different playstyle, but if you like being up close and personal and having minions to do your bidding, you might be a Forge Guard. And fan favorite, my favorite, the Paladin. This is the holy warrior, uses light, has auras to buff friends. The Paladin is kind of the jack of all trades. And I'm going to show off some of the skills for the Void Knight, the Forge Guard, and the Paladin after this quick, soon to be updated intro video.
I am the Sentinel. I spent my youth working the forges under Solarum, helping to arm the holy armies of Raya. When I came of age, I was conscripted into the Golden Army and sent to war, wielding the very weapons I helped create. What I found on the battlefield was chaos and the slaughter of innocents. I deserted Raya's army, refusing to be a part of this destruction. Now I travel the land of Eterra, warning its people of Raya's wrath.
We are now logged into Last Epoch at the training grounds, and we're going to be starting with Void Knight first. Now, I want to be clear. There is so much you can do with this class. This is a very, 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 very high-level overview to try and point you in the right direction. Now, the 5 skills for the Void Knight, you have Volatile Reversal, and this skill basically allows you to go back in time. It's very, very cool. It gives you a boost to attack speed, gives you a boost to movement speed, makes enemies take more damage, and if you take a big hit, you can get that life back. If you use up all your mana, you can get that back with Volatile Reversal. You also have Abyssal Echoes. This is a damage over time AoE skill. And what's really cool about this ability is you can have it auto trigger. If you are using Void Cleave, it has a node that you cast Abyssal Echoes after using Void Cleave, which means it looks like this. I use Void Cleave and then it goes off automatically. So you never have to cast it yourself. Very, very nice and useful. You have Devouring Orb. It's another interesting skill. Creates a devouring orb at the target location that casts a void rift whenever something dies nearby. Oh, you ever played a melee class with void rifts? Moving on to Anomaly. This skill is trippy. A combo skill that first sends enemies forward in time by 5 seconds, and when you reactivate it, you bring those enemies back. Void Knight is very, very cool. Last but not least, my favorite, Erasing Strike. And this skill does exactly what it says. When you kill an enemy, it erases them from existence. Gone. All you see is the damage number. There's no dead corpse or body. They are gone. Now, when you put some of these skills together, okay, let's put up some sigils. All right, these little floating things around me, they're very dark, you see them. And then we can lunge into combat. We can hit them with the Void Cleave, and then bam, almost 300,000 damage with our Erasing Strike. And unfortunately, it won't erase these from existence because, you know, they're training dummies. That was 320,000 damage, also guaranteed crit and AoE. That is the Void Knight. Very, very cool mastery. Moving on to the Forge Guard. Now, if you are a fan of Sword and Board Knight with Necromancer, this is the marriage of the two. You will not enter the battle alone because you're gonna bring a lot of little friends with you. Now, the Forge Guard's 5 skills is you have Shield Throw. Any big fans of Captain America out there? Pretty self-explanatory. You get to throw your shield and do a whole bunch of fun things. You have Manifest Armor. This is the big guy you saw standing next to me. And what's interesting about this minion is it takes on the characteristics of the gear you are wearing. Simple example, Manifest Armor gains a sword which scales with your equipped weapons stats. Very cool, very different. One of my favorite skills in the game. You have Ring of Shields, and this is also a minion skill, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a ring of shields that goes around you that helps with protection. You have Smelter's Wrath. This is a melee fire physical attack that shoots in a cone in front of you, and it is channeled, but it's not a spell. People always think it's a spell. It is not. And last but not least, Forge Strike, which is this huge hammer or anvil or different options that falls from the sky, also scaling with minion if it's tagged the correct way or built the right way to help generate for you more forged weapons or do damage. Forge Strike. Now, let me show you this in action. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin. Any big spin to win fans out there? I'm going to spin, and I want you to see what starts popping up. Here we go. All I'm doing is spinning. Oh, I got a great axe. See the axe? Oh, I got 2 great axes. And some swords. These are my minions. Now, Aaron, that's cool. All right. Can they actually do anything? Oh, that is a question. Let me stop spinning. Attack that. As you are spinning, you're shredding enemies' armor and hurting them, and simultaneously making an army of forged weapons that tear everything apart. The Forge Guard. Last but not least, let's talk about the holy warrior himself, the Paladin. Now, fortunately, at time of recording, the Paladin is not finished, but that doesn't mean it is not awesome. It is one of my favorite masteries in the game. Now, if you look at the other classes, Void Knight has 5 skills, Forge Guard has 5 skills, and the Paladin, unfortunately, only has 4. So it's going to be that much more awesome once we get the final skill, and unfortunately, Healing Hands does not get a skill tree, but EHG has said it is coming. So let's talk about the skills it does have. It has Sigils of Hope. This is a buff that basically these little sigils circle around you and give you lots of awesome damage buffs, and you can use it for healing and endurance threshold, and it just buffs your character almost on every single build you play. You also have Judgment, which is this huge, powerful melee attack that is focused on spell, melee, fire, damage over time, area, strength, and attunement. It has 7 different damage multipliers it has on it. It is also the only skill in the game that you can spec into unarmed. So if you like that fantasy of having an unarmed warrior where you don't hold a weapon, Hand of Judgment Gloves is for the Paladin, and you can do that inside of Last Epoch. And last but not least, this is the actual mastery skill, which is Holy Aura. And this is an aura that is always on, always buffing you and buffing your party members. So if you want to be a leader to your group of friends or people online, a lot of people like being the Paladin. Now, right now, I am fully spec'd into my Unstoppable Paladin is what I call it. And let me just show you for a second what we can do at the training dummy. And then if you hit some reversal, that is a pretty quick attack for our Unstoppable Paladin. So 200,000 crits when you are buffed. Pretty awesome. All right, everyone, that's the video. I've got a question for you. Are you a Dark Knight? Are you a Holy Knight? Or are you a knight that likes bringing minions with you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm hoping this video, if you are a new player, if you're new to the community, helps steer you in the right direction. And I just want to say a heartwarming welcome. You made the right decision. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. I'm hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it, but of course, only if you think I've earned it. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 91 members that have signed up. Become an instant ARPG VIP and get Patreon exclusive content at the first link in the description. I get asked all the time, what's the best way to support? And Patreon is it. It helps me and you get the most benefits. You get live stream with me. You get access to the VIP lounge. You get the exclusive content. It's the best thing. That's all I've got. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.